everyone, and welcome to REZOcast episode 53. This is Lego, and I've got with me Hove and Triton. Mana is out this week, but we have Resolute's very own BlessedDoom. Thank you for joining us here on the show. How's your week been, man?
Oh man, it's been an insane kind of week. It's my first week of full-time college. And just for anybody who doesn't know, I'm almost 40, so it's kind of a new thing. I've went to part-time at my formerly full-time job that I was working for about 12 years, and now I'm a full-time college student. It's really it's a little bit of a shock.
It's like culture shock, yeah.
Yeah, it's been an insane couple of months. I mean, month particularly because a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we had to move, and my 1 year anniversary with my wife was that same weekend, and just a ton of stuff going on. September's been packed.
Dang. So do you feel like because of all the life stuff, it's been like a little less gaming, or how do you feel like that's affected you?
I mean, recently I haven't been playing games in general as much just because I've been so busy and trying to gear up for this school thing. I have gotten in as much as I can. I mean, I've gotten in a decent amount, nowhere near, D1 levels.
Yeah.
But, I've definitely gotten in. I've finished the story on 2 characters. I haven't rated or anything, but, I've gotten a decent amount done.
Yeah, and like speaking of like the amount of gaming, like you used to do quite a bit because you ran your own podcast previously. Do you want to, before we jump into the rest of how our week's been, do you want to tell us a little bit about that for a second, just so everybody can get to know you who doesn't a little bit?
Oh yeah, well, I don't know, man. I don't know how long is this podcast? I don't know if anybody warned you about me, but I can talk a little bit. So
nice. That's what I love.
No, so as the other podcast, Rogue Agent Radio, that I did with Boom Slang, who I believe is a former guest.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Deep Fried Dave from Dads of Destiny, one of their guys that kind of built their whole infrastructure. We did Rogue Agent Radio about The Division, Tom Clancy's The Division.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran it for how long we went, but we went for a little while, and eventually, Boom and I just got too busy to do it, and the state of that game wasn't such that Boom and I at least really wanted to keep talking about it. I'm not mad at it. I do still play it. I'm real happy with where the game is now, but I couldn't stick with what they were doing. I'm not mad at them. I just couldn't talk about it every week. And if I wasn't able to do a good enough job talking about it and being entertaining, I didn't really want to do it anymore. And it was a little strange, kind of being a little bit of a public figure in a online community and everything. It was a little weird for me, but I did enjoy it though. The fans that we had, the people that listened, were great. It was amazing. I mean, I think our downloads were getting up there pretty. I think we even really paid attention to that kind of stuff, but our downloads were pretty decent. I mean, I think we were number one on iTunes. Not that I pay attention to those things, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Sorry, I think we had some audio trouble for a second there. I was like, what is going on? Did y'all hear that too, or is that just me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It sounds better now though, Doom. I don't know.
What happened?
It was sounding
like a lot
of
static or something. Yeah.
Oh, weird. I didn't hear anything at all.
Yeah.
I thought Triton's eyes were going to pop out of his head like a cartoon.
I had no idea it was going to... Well, I really didn't want it to be my fault. Like, oh, please don't let this be me.
But yeah, Doom, with all that, I'm really curious to see what, you got to see how the Division developed. And like we talked to Boom Slang, like I'm curious to hear your thoughts on D2 and how Destiny has developed over time too, as you're in Resolute and a player of that game too. But we'll jump into that here soon. For now, Hove, how has your week been, man?
It's been pretty good. It was a good week for me for Destiny, actually. Before the last 2 days, actually, I guess before this reset, I was at a point where I really liked Destiny 2. I have the whole time, but for some reason I just didn't have any drive to play it. And I don't really know why. There was nothing I had to like complain about. And then for whatever reason, I jumped on. I only had like a half hour yesterday, and I jumped on. And I'll tell you what, there's one thing that no matter what problems Destiny has had since its launch, the one thing you can't say that they didn't absolutely nail was just the gameplay and like the gunplay.
Yeah.
Because the second I started playing, I was just like, oh, I'll just go do a couple of these lost sectors for 20 minutes, and I ended up doing that for like an hour and a half. And it just like kept going. Like it just felt so much better. Like it felt so good. And it kind of got me back into it, and I've been playing the last few days a lot. Like I said, it was just a weird, like, I don't know, I just didn't have any drive to play, and all of a sudden I played it again, and now I'm all about it, been doing all the faction rally stuff. And quickly, though, a point I wanted to make, Doom, you said you're just getting back into college, and we were asking about, gaming and everything. I just want to point out that college was probably the time I did my most gaming, but that's mostly because I skipped class to play Halo and Madden and ping pong.
Oh my gosh.
And that's why
Halo,
I didn't finish
Halo.
college. But I did a lot of gaming. Triton apparently would know all about that because we went to college together.
Oh yeah, right.
Actually,
right.
I didn't. I'm trying to think now. I'm like, I hope Hove didn't tell me he didn't finish college because I don't remember you ever telling me that. So I'm gonna assume I just found that out right now that you didn't finish, right?
Yeah, just like that time you forgot when we met. That's fine.
You know what? That's what I was hoping it. You didn't tell me it during the first time we met. I was really hoping you also didn't share that in the first time. That has been like double jeopardy for me. But my week's been pretty good. It's I'm kind of doing everything on my Titan, but trying to finish the last story missions. I don't know. I'm right on the tank mission, that Fury mission. I can't get around to it. But I've been doing everything else. Been enjoying kind of the weekly reset stuff. I didn't jump into Trials this past weekend, but I've been doing all the flashpoints. I did the Nightfall with some friends. I was able to reconnect with a couple of these people I used to game with in the clan called The Show. I've only probably been away for a couple weeks, but I think I had an opportunity to reconnect with a lot of people there, which was cool. So, and I think that's kind of what I look forward to in Destiny 2 the most, was kind of reconnecting with people that you live Destiny 1 with and had those experiences with, and now kind of forging new memories. So overall, it's been a pretty positive week in that way.
I heard you tried to reconnect in some Destiny with Lego about an hour ago. How'd that go?
Oh, I did. Funny thing.
Gosh.
So I was like, oh man, I really want to get these story missions done on my Titan, and they're so boring by myself. So I'm like, Lego LaFlash, top clan member, hit him up. He's in a story mission. It's like, oh, it's fate. No response whatsoever. Check Twitter, is tweeting a bunch of people. He's posting links everywhere. I'm like, I know he sees this. Totally
Clearly.
you know what? Also, Lego, let's be honest here. Tried to call him twice the other day, and I texted him. No response till the next day. I'm just really glad it wasn't like very important. Next time I'm gonna make it be important. I'm gonna be like, Lego, I don't know what to do, but then he'll probably overreact and get back to me. You do, Hove. This is a really weird dichotomy right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to clarify. Whenever somebody messages me, a lot of times I'm like, so let me tell you how my week in Destiny been. I've just been like,
it's been really good because he didn't play with Triton at all.
Well,
oh my god.
Here's what's been going on. I feel like I've just been enjoying like the scenery of Destiny 2 and a lot of the locations. Like now that you kind of rush through at the beginning because you're trying to get to the end game and blah blah blah, and I end up just like as I'm replaying through with a Hunter and Warlock, finally I'm like noticing things that I like didn't really noticing before. And like during the first mission, I'm finally playing my third alt, and the very first mission when you're on the Cabal ship, after you beat like the first section and you fly over to the Cabal ship and you just sit there for a second before you go inside of it, and the Cabal ship actually circles the tower. And if you just sit there and don't progress in the mission, you can watch like the tower from every angle as it's being attacked and the Traveler in the background. And it's a really cool cinematic thing. And so that's what I was doing when Triton sent me a party invite.
So clearly that's way more important than playing with,
Well, I don't know, because when I got into the hangout, Lego really creepily was like, Hove, guess what I'm doing? And I was like, what are you doing, Lego? He went, I'm Lego dong blading right now. And then I almost threw up a little bit. But anyway, enough of that.
Anyways,
Oh.
yes, we have. I've been enjoying Destiny 2 this week as well. It's been fun playing the faction rally stuff. I'm like trying to get used to it. I'm curious y'all's thoughts. I'm sure we'll jump into that some more too. But before we do, let's get to know BlessedDoom a little bit more. We started down his podcast journey, but Doom, what brought you to Destiny just in general? Like what was your path here? What made you fall in love with it and all that?
Well, before Destiny 1, I was a total solo gamer, and I mean, I've been gaming since Atari and stand-up games, but, really original Nintendo. And then from then on, I've always been a fan of the exploration type games, but I was a total solo gamer. Like Metroid is my game, and, and I got into games like Fallout and, those types of things. And I was also huge into Halo. Like there's a big Halo component to my, military experience. But people were describing, because I hadn't really heard of Destiny before it came out. I mean, I heard about it maybe a couple months before it came out. And people at the store, it was either GameStop or whatever, were telling me about it. So like, what is this Destiny thing? I'm seeing this art around. And they said, well, it's kind of like a combination of, I think they said Halo, Fallout, and Borderlands. And they hit a bunch of these different games that I really liked. And I was like, oh, it's Bungie. It's the same people that did Halo. Okay, well, sign me up for that. And so, I pre-ordered it and got not the collector's edition, but the lower tiered one. And got that, and I was just playing solo, and I was like, oh, this is another one of those games you have to be in a group to do everything, because I had done other games like DC Universe Online, which it was a lot of fun. But if you're not going to group up with people, you can't really do everything. And I wasn't an online gamer. I have a little bit of I have quite a bit of social anxiety. And so grouping with people that I don't know is kind of a problem. I don't like LFGing. I don't, and none of my friends in real life, even though I have friends in real life that game, they don't play the same games I play. They don't play at the same time as me. They don't play online, just like me, same deal. So I got Destiny 1. I was like, oh, this is great. This is a lot of fun. I kind of wish it's like, I want to know more about this world. I like this story. I like all this, I want to know more about it, but I hadn't raided or anything. And I wanted to at least do Nightfalls. And just to get some of that good gear and everything, because I just wasn't getting anything. It's like, I like gear, I like guns, that kind of stuff. And I started watching YouTube videos. And I found, like a lot of YouTubers, I don't care about PvP. I don't want to watch PvP videos. I'm not a PvP guy. I like raids. I like PvE because there's story to it. I like living out the story of this character that I'm playing as. Yeah. And to me, in PvP, there isn't any real story. I mean, I know it fits in that world. I get it. But I want to play my part in this movie that I'm taking part in, basically. So I just started watching YouTube videos, like how can I solo these things and whatever. And I found Mesa Sean, and I found his videos. I think this is back when he did a couple of videos for Planet Destiny, way back. And I was like, oh, I like this guy. I like his personality. I like that he just seems like a normal dude. So I started interacting with him on Twitter. And we're both guitar guys. We're both into Metallica, stuff like that. So we were kind of talking a little bit. And I just asked him, at one point, it's like, hey, man, look, I want to raid. The first expansion's about to, Dark Below's about to come out. I haven't done Vault of Glass, and I keep seeing all these things. I can't hit at that point. It was just level 30. Yeah. Because that's, you can only hit 28 unless you got that gear, right?
Oh, yeah.
And because there was no light levels yet. And he said, oh, well, here, why don't you hook up, why don't you talk to some of the guys in this clan that I'm in, Resolute? And he hooked me up with Tinks. She took me through my very first raid with a few other members. And then I just kind of started, interacting with her and Claw and a few other people. And I was staying up way too late just to play with them because I'm like, man, I hope I can somehow get into this clan because these guys seem cool. Because I had LFG, I had linked up with a couple of other teams that just weren't on the same level, skill wise, personality wise, they just, there were some people once Crota came out, I did the Crota raid with a couple other groups that were okay, but they were the ones that were yanking the LAN cable, and I don't like doing that stuff, but and right around, I joined Resolute probably about a week after they patched that out. So it was before the hard raid, but after they patched Crota. So, and I had been running with some Resolute people, and I had learned how to do it properly because Resolute doesn't cheat, And I had played with this other team, and they had never done Crota legit, not once. And so I was running with them on their very first run to try to do it legit, and it just wasn't going well. And I said, hey, so I've been running with this other group, and I learned how to do it from them. I can, if I mean, it's your show, it's, but I learned how to do this the right way, and they weren't happy about that. And they never asked me to play again. And about a couple days later, Claw asked if I was interested in joining, and I've been in Resolute since then.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I love that. That's you bring up this point. Like, I know we have like a lot more questions, but I'm curious, like, for you guys, this is for all of y'all, because we haven't really talked about it before, but what is the furthest, like, you feel like you've gone, like, to
third
like
base.
Get loot?
What?
Like, no,
we know
like,
that's a
get
lie.
loot in Destiny before, because like you said, like, a lot of people like don't really cheat, but there's things that you do. Like, I remember going through Crota solo all the time to like just get the loot. And this is like before I was in Rezo, before I did anything, and it was like I didn't have anybody to play with, and I was like, well, I'll just go get these things myself, like, just so I can get them, because I know I could do it solo.
I'm too lazy for all that.
Well, I know you and your friends, pushed Atheon off the ledge.
No. I had never until then, I had never even seen Atheon. I didn't know what Atheon was. They said, we're going to load into this, and I'm going to beat this guy. And I was like, all right. And so we spawned in, and he was like, just run over here. And we stood right behind that wall to the left, like, immediately. And he was like, just don't move. He'll shoot at you, but if you stay in here, you'll be fine. And I was like, all right. And
so you never even saw him?
At that point, no. I spawned in, I walked about 10 steps to my left, and I literally sat down.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first Atheon experience.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. That was like, I barely played. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know, what's an Atheon? That was literally the question.
Yeah.
Well, like, I think some of the irony of what you said is that now you do have friends that would play with you to get certain things in the game, but you still decide to play by yourself. So which is cool. Hey, I get it. I think for me, I don't know if it's the cheapest thing, but I was a part of the OG loot cave. So, I mean, just kind of standing there, just constantly shooting into stuff. I definitely was a part of a couple of those push Atheon off experiences. I'd say that's probably the most, though. I think we never did like the landline pull on Crota, although with TV's internet, sometimes that would have been maybe helpful. It was basically the opposite effect, but I would say that probably my first couple weeks, first Atheon. But yeah, that's probably
the
reason that
sorry,
Doom, go ahead, man.
Oh, well, and since we're on the topic of cheesing or whatever lengths you go to win, there are certain things that I think people consider cheesing that I don't. I think manipulating your hardware, yanking a LAN cable, something like that, using grenades to hurt something, if that's in the game, I think that's fair. If you can find a good place to stand where you can shoot your enemies and they can't shoot you back, I think that's fair. I mean, there's what was the one strike with the Archon Priest?
The Archon Priest and Valistark had a spot you could get in. Yeah.
Yep. That's just tactical. That's good tactics.
Yeah.
If they don't want you to do that, then they can patch that out, and you can figure something else out. But I definitely, especially when I was soloing Nightfalls, because I mean that's how I got good at the game. I just soloed Nightfalls. I would find the best place to stand where I could get shot. I'm ex-military guy, like that's our whole job is to find a place where we can shoot. So so I think those things are fair. It's not. It might be cheap, but it's not cheating.
Well, I was just saying
tactical.
I think that's where you get into the difference between cheesing and cheating. I think cheesing is okay, but it's just like playing it not in the way intended. Do you know what I mean? It's not that it's bad. It's not unfair.
Right.
It's not cheating.
Well, I mean, the intention is to shoot things and not get shot. I mean,
yeah, I'm kind of doing it. Like, I get what you mean.
I get it.
Yeah,
and we'll see what they intended by what they patch, I think, is the point.
Right,
yeah.
right. Like exploiting a broken mechanic or something. It's
Yeah,
in the
right.
game. Like
Yeah,
you do
for
it,
sure.
fine. I agree with you though.
The reason I bring it up is because we're kind of in, like, with Destiny 2 coming out, there's kind of this zone where I've kind of been thinking about on the thing. I'm like, there's not too many things you can cheese, like within Destiny 2 so far. But this week in particular, there is a cheese for how you can get faction tokens very quickly, with how quickly you can destroy the things that you need to destroy inside the lost sectors. The arms, whatever. And so there's like runs you can do where you respawn directly like outside of the lost sector. So as soon as you die, so you go and blow up 7, then you respawn, go and blow up 7, you get 7 tokens every single time. And it's like super fast. And I was doing it because I was like, I want this gear, like it's super fast. I have like,
you're lame.
and so it's like, where are we at? I kind of bring that up because it kind of flows into that. Where are we at with that?
Is it really faster though?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that one
is
specifically
really
is
fast.
ridiculous.
But also, is it fun?
And so that is a good question, and that's what I was debating with, not debating, but Claw and Windler were talking about it in our chat, and I was like, that run in particular is really fun because it's almost like a mini game challenge for yourself to like be able to shoot stuff. It's like a quick run, a timed run where you're like trying to do as fast as you can, and then you respawn and try to do it again and make sure all your shots are right where they need to be. The same way people do like playthroughs and try to like speed runs, it's kind of like that to me is what it feels like.
Kind of like the opening sequence for Titanfall 2 where you're doing that little run, you're trying to jump off the walls and shoot all those guys and get through as quick as you can.
It's exactly like that. That's a very good analogy of it.
Is there more of a gray line because the fact that it is a competition and that getting all these reps or that contributes to your rep as well, right?
Yes.
As you're doing it. So and let's be honest, all factions have people doing it, right? It's not like one faction is probably cheesing more than another. But does it change the definition of whether or not it's just a cheese or a cheat, or is it a little bit more gray because it's like when you cheese the loot cave or Atheon, that's just your immediate fire team, right? You're not like that doesn't have a greater culmination that impacts any other player.
Yeah, you're only cheesing fake characters in a game.
Right. Does that, do you guys think that maybe that's a little bit more gray because of that? I personally don't think so because I think everyone's probably doing it.
If it wasn't like a worldwide game, maybe, like if it was like the 4 of us competing and I found out about it, but the fact that it's like on the internet and everybody's going to see it, everyone can do it, I don't.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. I see where you're coming from, but the fact that it's just on such a big scale, I don't think it really.
Yeah,
matters.
how much influence do we think that it's really going to have on? Because the only thing that it really affects is the fact that there is a competition between the 3 factions and who's going to get the gun. All the guns are going to be purchasable. It's just which one's going to be cheap, right?
Yeah.
Well, only one gun is going to be purchasable, and it'll be expensive for some and cheap for others.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. So, and that's the only thing, but is how much of an effect is doing that going to have? Does anybody know?
I don't think it's
not.
And overall, it's not like the winning of this competition, I don't think is going to be a crazy big difference because I got every single weapon for the faction that I played the most already. And the faction that I hardly played at all for, I got like 3 engrams and I got like 3. I got a weapon every time from Future War Cult, and it was like, well, I guess buying that one isn't that important, So
I'm excited about the weapons. I can't wait to get to that.
Yes, we will get to it.
The only other thing that when you asked about doing something crazy for loot or whatever, the only other thing I could think of, and this is something everybody did because nobody knew it was like a cheese. We thought it was what it was supposed to be. But beginning of House of Wolves with the key farming.
Oh.
Kill the roaming or the pack of wolves is roaming or whatever.
Go out of the sector and come back in.
You'd have because that was, we've talked about this. That was one of my favorite things in all of Destiny because you'd fly in with, there'd be 9 people, 3 fire teams of 3. You didn't know 6 of them, But all of a sudden you'd see on the map so-and-so's waving, and you knew he was on the other side of that area waving that, hey, here's the chest. And then everyone, like, that was so cool. That was one of the coolest things I think it's ever happened in Destiny.
That was really smart of them. Like, I hope that in D2, one of the public events has that kind of search and find kind of thing like that. But the last thing I wanted to say about, before we jump back to what we were talking about, the last thing about the faction cheesing is what Doom said about, like, is it fun? I think that's a good question for Bungie and as us as a community to ask, because I really hope for that is it fun reason. I think it is more fun to just do a public event and, you know, do like what you're saying with the Wolves thing. You have a bunch of people together that don't know each other working together to do this heroic, make it heroic so that you get 8 instead of 4. And it's like, you know, that was a lot more fun than just going in and shooting. Even though the quick speed run thing is fine, it would be more fun in a community like manner. And that's less people that are doing public events too. So that's the reason I hope that it is something that they kind of fix to where you can't do it over and over again so many times. You have to eventually go back and do public events.
Says the guy who was doing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People are going to keep doing it until they patch it, though. That's the point.
I'm surprised they didn't do some sort of timed reset on the lost sectors. You know, at
because
least
they have timed reset on the chests, which is weird that it's not that way there.
Well, I could see them not. I could see why they didn't do it on the lost sector so much because, like, I think today was Titan.
Mm.
There's only 3.
Yesterday was Titan. Today is like IO or something. I don't know. Right? No,
I think today was Titan.
Okay,
but there's only 3, and to do the milestone, you have to. I think it ends up being like probably around 5.
Well. Did you notice that the lost sectors on Titan have more of those weapon, the things you have to blow up in them?
That's true. Oh, that's right. I was doing them with another person, so we were splitting them.
So there's like 5 or 6 in each one of those. Instead, on the other ones have like 2 or 3.
Oh, Lego knows because he farmed them for.
No, I know.
It didn't invite anyone else to get them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, jumping back to talking with Doom here. Now that we've gone off our cheesing tangent. I do want to talk to you a little bit about, you were saying, you know, you don't like PvP as much. You like PvE more. Like, what are your favorite activities? Like, what would people find you doing if they jumped in your fire team throughout Destiny 2?
Well, I do like running around. I like going and clearing the lost sectors. I like doing public events.
Yeah.
If I have the time, I like the strikes, but I like that there's things to do in the open world, that the open world it feels alive now.
Yes.
There's not as much dead space as it felt like there was. And it's dangerous.
Yeah.
The enemies are tough. Like they're not, I mean, you can kill them quickly, but if you're not careful, you know, they're dangerous to you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of them. So I appreciate that they did that. You know, if I have time, I like doing the strikes. You know, that's fun. But most of the time I'm just running around, you know, collecting, you know, getting chests, collecting planetary materials, just getting the reputation tokens, stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I do hope that they put more incentive into doing strikes later, because I think some of the strikes in D2 are like phenomenal, like compared to D1 strikes.
For sure. I hope they put the strike scoring back in, because I really
yeah, that would be cool.
I would like that as well.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right. There's really no incentive to do strikes at this point in the game at all.
Other than
unlock Nightfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they are just straight up fun though. There's more story to them. You feel like you're you know, it's not just like, oh, I got to run over here and shoot these guys or whatever.
Yeah.
There's story. There's voiceover going over that's interesting every time. I mean, at least it still is now. I mean, I like listening to the story. I like, you know, hearing things that I didn't hear before, and
Agreed.
You know, kind of knowing what we're doing. I mean, they're setting up things in these strikes that haven't come out in the game yet, that's going to come out later.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I go into a strike and I hear somebody mention Sabathun, it's like, oh, dude, it's happening. You know? So I do like doing those. It's just I have to have the time to do it, because, I mean, each one of those is, what, 15 to 20 minutes?
Yeah, 15, 20, I think.
You know, so, but, yeah, I mean, I just like that they made the open world, you know, alive now.
Yeah. So do you feel like that D2 I guess maybe because you, like we said before, you got to see that transition with the division and how it's evolved. How do you feel like? Do you feel like D2 has evolved positively from that transition from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of stuff that they learned on Destiny 1, you can see it on display here, and there's a lot more. There's just a lot more in this world, and even though some of the destinations are smaller, like Titan, if you really look at it, is pretty small in comparison to Nessus or the EDZ, but it doesn't feel small when you're running around in it. It's packed with things.
Yeah, that's because it's the motion of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Not the size that matters.
Yeah. So
I do feel like that Titan in particular is one that I almost wish there were more spawn-in points, like particularly in the section where you go in and it's like a city, like it's like a space underwater city or something.
Yeah.
Like that area is so cool. I'm like, let me just spawn in there. It's so awesome.
Actually, Marcus and I were just playing today, and he was saying that's one of his favorite areas in the whole game, and it's very, very underused. You only go there like once.
Well, that's room to build on.
There's a couple.
Right, exactly. That's what we were saying. That hopefully they use it for something in the future.
For sure, when Savathûn shows up, that's going to be a big location.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
I'm pumped for it. Well, do y'all want to jump to some any community questions that we have for Boom? If anybody wants to put some in the chat as well, we go ahead and.
I do. I mean, the communication would be great. I think mostly we could have brought Rex on to beat them all.
Dude, his questions are great.
Grab Rex to.
Rex.
Rex is our fourth host tonight.
Right. So let me just. I know Rex has been on before. My relationship with Rex. We joined Resolute on the same day. And we were a Twitch streaming team. We didn't run it, but we were like the main streamers on the Resolute Twitch channel for a long time. We did twice a week. We put together events, raids, and we did nightfalls every week for a long time. So we were neither one of us is entertaining enough to stream on our own, but together, it worked out pretty good. And the other, the people that we would surround ourselves, with for the raids. Awesome. And I meant to say this earlier, I kind of feel like I was on the show already a few times because my wedding has been discussed.
That's what I want to talk about before the community questions. It's like been like 4 or 5 people's highlights that have been on this show for Destiny 1.
It has been, yeah.
Yeah, so Rex was a groomsman in my wedding. He flew up here from Texas because I'm near Seattle, and he flew up here and was one of my groomsmen.
It's awesome. That's so cool, man. What an experience. And it was such an experience. That's why it keeps getting brought up on the show so much, especially when we had just first started it, because it was kind of recent and it was just like at every single episode, it was like, how could we not talk about it?
Yeah, Kales, Claw, Fury, Lick. I mean, Rags, there's so many people who came on, and that's what their favorite memory was.
Yeah, it was an amazing few days. Like, I can't even, there was just so much happening. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you combine that, these people showing up who are friends, who are my friends, who are my very real friends that I'll probably have for the rest of my life, that I have because of this game. And that now they're here in real life. I'd never, I would only ever, heard their voice, most of them. And I'm also getting married that weekend.
Yeah, that's a ton.
Oh, by the way, we went on a tour of Bungie Studios. It's just like, how do you process so much stuff in just a couple of days? I mean, and by the way, all of the Resolute people were kind of the hit of the wedding. Yes, aside from the actual wedding itself.
I know Hobby, we talked about Hobby being the most interesting man in the world, I think.
He is the most interesting man in the world.
But everybody I know here just kept talking about them for, weeks after. It's like, oh man, your friends are so cool. And
oh my God. It's so funny because we're just a bunch of nerds, and like, I mean, but we're normal people, and to be
for yourself.
To be connected in like a real way with people. I'm a wedding videographer, so for me, it's like, to be at a wedding where that happens, I would be so excited. I'd be like, oh, look at these people. It's awesome,
Yeah, I mean the gifs and the little videos that came out of it. I mean, Jag dancing.
Yes.
My friend, the picture of my friend who was our wedding officiant, leaning across the table, grabbing Rex's hand, and all of the pictures and the videos that came out of it are just, I mean, just priceless. It's
amazing. So cool. And it's so cool that, like, you know, like you said before, like a lot of us were solo gamers before. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, every time I played a game, like even games that require a lot of teamwork, like Battlefield, like I played it solo every single time. I never really jumped on with anyone. And this game kind of forces you to do that in ways that are uncomfortable for like I don't really struggle with anxiety, but I'm like a total introvert. And so I don't like anytime that I can just not talk to people, that's great, you know? And so to be able to be forced really to start communicating with people and create friends in this thing that we all enjoy together, like kind of starts this thing that can grow into like someone being a groomsman at your wedding. Like that's insane. It's crazy. It's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, it's, you know, and you know, talking about being an introvert or having social anxiety, which I do very much, but when I get in that group of people, you know, I can actually talk, or even in this situation, you know, like I said, I can talk a lot. I can make this podcast 3 hours long if you don't rein me in. You just put me on something, I will talk. I'm very aware of my own tendencies to do those things, but if we get in a raid or something, most of the time I'm the quietest guy there. Even, you know, and you'll just hear me during King's Fall whenever we're doing the what's the running back and forth with the little right before the War Priest, that little thing
gate.
You gotta,
yeah,
you know, and you'll just, everybody else will be like, you know, joking with each other and all this stuff, and you'll just hear me every now, like 5 seconds. Just, you know, doing the countdown.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's, I mean, I never thought that I would have, you know, such an experience like that just from a game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been, I mean, and one of the coolest things was being able to tell a lot of the people at Bungie that, you know, being able to tell Deej that and a bunch of those guys that, hey, look, I know you guys probably hear this all the time, but, you know, this game was a very real, significant part of my life, you know, and I just never, I always thought, you know, video games, like, oh, that's just a distraction, and it just kind of takes away from all this other stuff, and, you know, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, well, it's an important part of my life now. Like, this is, you know, most of my social interaction, and it's, you know, my life is better for it.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Well, since we're talking about Rex, do you want to jump into some of his questions?
I can't wait.
Triton,
I hope
you guys feel free to jump in with questions as well as we go.
Yeah, chat, same thing. Let us know, because
same thing.
You're only going to be interrupting Rex's stream of consciousness today on Twitter, or yesterday. I was just getting like notification after notification.
Yeah.
It was all Rex.
I was either at work or at school, and I just kept, you know, I was like, what is going on? And I looked at like 15 notifications on Twitter, which is a lot for me. You know, it's like, what? And it's all Rex just asking, nonstop questions.
Yeah, I'm used to that only happening when Lego tags me in one of his like VOOP lights, and then I get notifications. Otherwise, it's mostly just Triton bitching that I don't talk to him. All right, first question. Shocker, it's from Rex.
Shocker.
Who would you fuck, kill, and marry from Rezo?
Oh man. Let's see.
Oh, and Kels adds on, and how dead would you be when Liz found out?
I guess that depends on who I pick. Let's see. This is a difficult question. Like, I feel bad about leaving anybody out.
You have to leave a lot of people out.
Yeah, there would be a lot of people. There was 95 people not included.
It was tough enough narrowing down for the wedding invitations, and I already felt bad about that. Let's just say, how about Rex for all three?
Ooh.
You just have to pick which order that's.
I was just saying, I'm curious about the order now.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
All right, next question from a guy named Rex. Have you ever looked in the mirror and intimidated yourself? And
yeah, this is go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, Gabe added on, but can the most intimidating man be intimidated by himself? Because I would think the most intimidating man could not be intimidated.
Well, this is this is an actual very serious topic to discuss here, because I actually have to limit my time looking in mirrors and things like that, because if I looked at myself for too long and really tried to intimidate myself too much, it would cause this intense feedback loop that would just unravel reality as we know it. So I have to be very careful about it. I mean, even looking at the webcam right now, I have to be careful not to look down at my, because it's just a little too much. It's like crossing the streams, it would unmake reality as we know it.
I just, for anyone who's listening to this on iTunes, for any audio listeners, the best part is the entire time is he was just stroking his beard like a villain. It was great the whole time he was saying that.
The static is forming.
Well,
my headphones are on, so I can't stroke my mohawk.
Oh, okay.
That's fair.
That's fair, yeah.
All right. Also, the first thing I thought of when I read that question was the whole, what happens with an unstoppable force and an immovable object? No one knows. Anyway.
That's Doom.
We have a question from a first-time question asker, Rex. Does your beard have its own Twitter or Instagram?
My beard doesn't, but my mohawk has a MySpace page.
Ooh. Yes.
It keeps trying to claim that it's coming back, but I'm like, you only think that because you're a mohawk, and mohawks kind of went out in the 80s. So what can you do?
I like it. These answers are so good.
I know. I want to try to find it on MySpace now.
All right, question from myself. What we know how MySpace works. What music will I find playing on your Mohawk's MySpace page?
Only like the most terrible 80s, fart rock that you could possibly imagine.
Perfect.
Because
okay. Now I have a question because I feel like
rock?
other people
Because
are probably dying. Not what is fart rock now.
I think that's self-explanatory.
What is everybody? It's very easy to notice your profile picture with your guitar jam in there with the Resolute logo on it. So what is the kind of music that you're into? Why is that your profile picture? Tell us a little bit about your music.
Because it's the most badass picture I've ever seen.
Exactly. Yeah. So the people want to know.
After I got back from Iraq and in the army and everything, two of the other guys that I was there with, we all started a band, and me and one other guy, one of the guys left. We kept it going. We had a moderately successful local band in Seattle for about 11 or 12 years. We got to open for a lot of big national bands. We had 2 studio albums.
Nice.
Awesome.
We were, what I always say is that we were the most successful local band that nobody ever heard of. So we were a good opener for big national bands coming through town. And that's kind of where we fell into. A lot of local, and no, I'm not speaking about anybody specifically, but a lot of local bands that get to open for national bands are just kind of forgettable. Nobody really pays attention to them, but we had this ability, our music wasn't groundbreaking, we're not gonna, change anybody's lives, but it was fun live. And that's really what we wanted. We wanted to have a good live show. So we would do what an opening band is supposed to do, is warm up the crowd and get them ready for the headliner. And that's what we were really good at. And we did it for a long time. So as soon as I got into Resolute, I said, hey, can I get a sticker for my guitar?
Nice.
Put that on there. Always had, usually would have a Resolute shirt on stage and all that stuff. So, but yeah.
That's so cool.
So
I feel like this is totally not Destiny related at all, but I love what you said about opening bands and how if you put on a good show, it kind of becomes unforgettable, because there are bands that I saw open up for headliners that I really wanted to go see. And I end up I can specifically remember some bands that came to my town that I remember the opener band because they put on such a good show, but I can't even remember who headlined for them because the opener band was so good, you know?
Yep.
So that's awesome.
I mean, you have to understand, because most bands, they want to be the headliner.
Yeah.
You know, and they play a show like they're the headliner, and nobody cares. You have to understand what your position is. You got to play that game, and you're there to do a job. You know, I mean, you know, for sure have fun, for sure, you know, be super into your music and all of that stuff, but you're there to perform a function, and the better you do that job, the easier it's going to be for you to move up. You know, that's why we kept getting those big shows. We've opened for some fairly, you know, not gigantic, like we're not opening for Metallica or something, but we've opened for bands that I grew up listening to.
Yeah,
you know?
that's really cool.
Gigantic for me. I mean, Metallica might be one of the only ones that you know, we open for some, you know, big people in the metal, you know, community, and we got to do that because the venues up here knew that we were reliable, that we didn't have an attitude, that we showed up on time, we did our job, we were professional, we got our gear in, we played, we got our gear out. We were easy to work with. We didn't ask for anything ridiculous. We didn't go in there acting like it was our show.
Yeah.
You know, and I try to, one of the things that I was really focusing on doing before I kind of retired from music was trying to help a lot of the younger local bands understand that, you know, and try to help kind of guide them a little bit, because metal's kind of dead right now. You know, I mean, it just kind of is. I mean, not entirely, but it's just not.
It's just not as popular, yeah.
Right, but there are some amazing local metal bands up here. Some young kids that are just starting out. I mean, there's one band up here that if you went out and listened to them and you didn't know what year it was, you'd swear it's 1982. And I mean, awesome. In the best way. I mean, it's like I'm watching a young Metallica on stage. It's pretty crazy. So I was, you know, trying, you know, good for them. They were kind of listening. They're like, hey, you've been out there doing this for a long time. You know, what did you do? And I was like, well, don't entirely listen to me because we weren't totally successful. But, you know, I mean, this is what you do to get in good with the venues and just put on a good show. And, you know, that's, you know, just kind of understanding, you know, where you are.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like me and Triton could take this podcast in a completely different direction now that we're talking about like business sided of stuff, you know, because I feel like it could apply to like anything, but I'm not going to go there. So
I always behave myself on things like this most of the time.
Yeah, we could definitely go out there. Hove's like looking around like, wait, no, don't do it.
No, I'm wondering why me and Triton could do this. Hove couldn't do that. He doesn't understand business.
I'm saying it in a negative way towards me and Triton, like we are the tangent.
Wait, why is it negative? Why does it have to be negative? Why am I including something negative?
Because we could take it way outside of gaming, and you know it is.
Have you met me?
So, yes.
Do you want me to take it outside of gaming?
No, I don't want you. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to go outside.
Because I can get us to the point of no return very quickly.
I know you can. So that's why I'm going to direct us back to the Twitter questions, if there's any more. And
yeah, there is.
Okay, let's hit a few more of Rex's questions, and then we'll.
All right, well, there's two more from Rex, and we have actually a good question for all of us.
Okay,
we actually have a good question.
Well, no, like a Destiny related question.
Rex is
okay.
Sorry, Rex. Love you.
Sorry,
Rex. Rex asks, when's your rap album dropping? Doom? While we're on the music.
You know, there was a time. No, there wasn't a time. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even attempt to disrespect a genre that I have so much respect for. Because you were asking about, you know, what kind of music I listen to, and obviously it's you know, metal is what I play, but I like a lot of different stuff. Yeah, no rap album. Though we did do a rap song at one point that we brought in a different guy for that it never got released, but it was actually pretty good.
Oh, that's cool.
And we kind of did a little, you know, we had a guy rapping, then I was doing the metal vocals and stuff like that, but we never released it. But yeah, no rap album for me. I mean, could you imagine what that would sound like? You know, if I got a little bit more growly, you know, and kind of just got that real crazy kind of like super hardcore kind of.
It could be like a BlessedDoom / Daddy Fat Snaps like throwdown soon or something. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would just be so angry, that I don't know if anybody would want to listen to it. So
we could do like Doom could play guitar. Do you remember that song? What was it called?
No.
It was the Executioners and Wayne Static. It was years ago. It was big. It was on like TRL. If anyone who plays this game is old enough to remember TRL.
Yeah.
TRL.
It was Wayne Static from Static X, and then like a rap group rapping. It was awesome.
Oh, I remember Static X.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Wayne Static. We were going to get to open for him because he is one of my probably top 3 to 5 influences in music.
I loved Static X.
Yeah, we were going to get to open for him, but unfortunately he died right before that, and it was really sad because every time I would sound check on stage, I would get to sound check. I would sound check with the Static X song because that's my style. Like his vocals, his guitar, that's my style. And I actually got to our very first national band we opened for was for a band that the singer and bass player was the bass player from Static X. It was a Mexican death metal band, and they were really good, but they're super heavy. But yeah, I got to meet Tony a couple of times. I think I got to meet him again. I think he was playing bass for I think he was playing bass for Soulfly, like the second time we opened for them, I think. One of those bands. But yeah. But anyway, Static X, Wayne Static. Sorry. See, this is how it happens.
I forgot that Wayne Static died, and I just got so sad.
Having you just talk about these things, it always reminds me of how like diverse and talented so many people in Resolute are. Like there's a lot of musicians too. We've had a few on the show here that I'm just like, I know their background, and I'm like, man, it's so cool. All the people they've opened for, the things that they've played for, recorded or whatever, and not even musicians outside of that, like computer people or whatever, there's so many different things. And I'm just always impressed with everyone's background in Resolute. It's awesome. Hove, hit me with another one, or hit Doom with another one.
What's your coffee recipe? Also from
Rex.
Yes.
The one and only.
So when Rex came up here, he was staying. I think the first night he stayed at our place, and of course I made him some of my coffee, and he said it's probably like the best coffee he's ever had. And yeah, so I think this style used to be called Bulletproof Coffee. I don't call it that anymore because it was kind of associated with a brand that I don't really want to associate it with anymore. But it's basically, first of all, because I take my coffee super seriously. It actually is a very big part of my nutritional, my diet or my lifestyle or whatever, because what I'm going to school for is to be a nutritionist. So it's a big deal. Yeah, I do like a super hardcore ketogenic diet and all that stuff. But so you can't just get any old store, like no Folgers, no Maxwell House, none of that crap. Like that's just Starbucks at the very minimum, and even that's borderline. My favorite brand of coffee is from a company called Death Wish, and the blend is called the Valhalla Java Odin Force blend.
Oh my god,
that's amazing.
And and I also like Caveman coffee. They're pretty good too. But so you make your coffee however it is you want to make it. Just regular. In a coffee maker, French press, whatever. So in it, I put either MCT oil or coconut oil, one of those two things, preferably MCT oil because it's a better version of coconut oil. Grass-fed butter. If you want it sweet, I add stevia to it. And I've been adding fulvic minerals in liquid form, and it gives it a little bit of a metallic taste, but you get those because most people are mineral deficient. So it adds a lot of that minerals that you're not getting from your foods or from your water because everybody's drinking filtered water that doesn't have it. They're not having all the minerals that are supposed to be in there replaced. They're taking all the bad stuff, but they're taking the good stuff out too. So adding all of that stuff in. But the key is the coconut oil and the grass-fed butter. because it turns it into almost like an energy drink, and it slows down the absorption of the caffeine, and you don't have that spike and crash from it, but you're also getting those
so much right now. This is awesome.
You also get the good fats from the MCT and from the grass-fed butter, the fats that are good for your brain and everything like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I'm gonna have to look this stuff up now because it sounds incredible for my day, for my energy for my day.
It takes a little bit of getting used to, because it does make it a little oily, a little greasy, but you get used to it. I mean, I can't even have coffee without that anymore because that spike from the caffeine just hurts my brain now.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more from Wilson309.
Wilson.
For everybody. Thanks, Rex, for ignoring everybody else. Now that we've had some time to settle in, what are your favorite weapon builds so far?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a very good question. I'll let our guests go first.
I haven't found a setup that I'm just totally in love with yet. I mean, I found some guns that I kind of like. What I'm generally running with, I think, is what everybody else is running with. Origin Story, Uriel's Gift.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't learned all the names yet. And then Hawthorne's Field Forge Shotgun, I love.
That is so good for PvE.
Yeah, I've not
oh my gosh.
But lately I've been running with the Crucible version of the fusion rifle that I really like. It's really fast firing.
Yeah, the Cartesian something, or maybe, or there's two of them.
Oh, it's the one that has the weapon swap perk on it.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Is that Shock and Awe? Is that the Crucible one?
No, that
has the weapon swap thing, like the Plan C type of perk.
Yeah, it's because I think there's two that has that, but I don't think it's Shock and Awe. I think it's the other one that has the Crucible paint job on it.
Yeah.
But I really like that one because it's super fast firing. I haven't found. That's the only fusion rifle I found so far that I'm super in love with, just because it's fast firing.
Yeah.
But I really like running the Mida and the Mini combo with Dune Marchers.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet. That sounds awesome, though.
Ooh, I'm so fast. Running the strike that you fight the giant.
The Atheon-looking guy who walks around?
The one that you're on Titan and you go down, you fight the giant. Now I can't think of what it is.
The Hive thing?
Yes, yeah.
The Shrieker.
The Shrieker.
The Shrieker, yes. I think it's Savathun's Song, I think is the name of it or whatever. So throughout that strike where you're just kind of running through and you're carrying the little ball and all that stuff, I'm just so fast.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
On my Hunter, I'm starting to kind of stray a little bit from my Titan, and I really enjoy my Hunter now. It's hard for me to not want to main the Arcstrider.
Ooh.
I have a ton of fun with the Arcstrider. I like the melee and dodge.
Where it just reloads each one every time. Yeah.
And it makes it super powerful. But on that character, I've been running the Old Fashioned and Sunshot. And I really like running the dual hand cannons.
That's really cool. Sunshot's a super fun gun in PvE. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's very Fatebringery.
Yeah.
I mean, not totally Fatebringery, but it's the most Fatebringery of everything so far.
I'm with you.
Because I just haven't found anything that I'm super, super, super into. I mean, I'm looking for a good scout rifle. I kind of like the new Monarchy scout rifle, even though it's kind of slow, but it seems like it has a lot of punch. I'm trying to work it in, but it
looks cool.
I like it.
It
looks really cool. Yeah, people saying that Future War Cult has the best stuff, and they probably have the most useful weapons, but I still went new Monarchy on my Titan. I just like I like their look. I like their shaders. I mean, everything looks super cool. I mean, my Titan right now looks like Brienne of Tarth if she was wearing Lannister armor.
Oh, it's amazing. Oh, what about you guys, Triton, Hope? What are y'all running right now?
Well, I just got to the point where I'm actually trying to like experiment with different weapons. For the longest time, it's about light, and I think for some reason I keep forgetting about that it ignores the fact of what you have equipped. It looks for everything, so I constantly was using whatever the most powerful thing was. But I've just started getting to. I mean, I really love Uriel's Gift and Prosecutor for PvP. I think I've used one of those two for trials. Not this past weekend, although I probably would have done the same thing. But the first weekend, I used Mida. I think for PvE, I've been willing to try a lot of things. I've tried Better Devils recently, and I think Judgment, kind of very similar. Hand cannons, because I hadn't really given those a try.
Yeah.
I think Nameless Midnight's pretty popular. I have one, I just haven't really gotten around to use it. But I think in terms of loadouts, I like to go kind of like long range, like closer encounter. I usually try to pair that way. So if I'm using a scout rifle in the energy slot, like the 7.65, I think, or whatever specs I have. I got one of those early on. I'll try to have, maybe that's when I'll use the hand cannon in the kinetic slot. And then for power, I've tried everything. I'm terrible with grenade launcher, especially in PvP, so I haven't done a lot of that. Haven't done a lot of swords. But I think for the most part, and I really haven't used snipers. I think power is kind of the thing that I just kind of try to round out for elemental damage and shields. I really haven't given much thought into that yet, but I'm enjoying everything, and there seems to be a lot of variety of different things. So maybe it's because I haven't spent a lot of time, and I've done nothing with mods other than maybe change an element here or there. I'm very conscious about using some of like the rare mods and like losing them, so I've been kind of patient with those.
Mods are something that I want to experiment with soon too. I haven't really like experimented with like the ones that control recoil, like those ones seem really interesting, but I haven't really tried them out on certain things yet.
I've done that for the armor slots. I've done those like control like the kinetic energy,
exactly
those things. But
that's what I mean. Hove, what about you?
Recently I got probably my favorite weapon right now. I got the new Monarchy Future War Cult auto rifle, the number.
Oh yeah,
I love it. I mean, it's the same archetype as Uriel's and the Prosecutor, but it's one of those like, this gun's good too, and no one's gonna yell at me for using it like Uriel's, because I did use Uriel's before that. But it's it just feels really good. And the thing that I really like, one of the reasons I like it, and this we'll get to the faction stuff, but like the gun comes with the paint scheme of Future War Cult, the red, blue, and yellow. But it's really cool because when you put a shader on it, it keeps the same scheme, like where everything is, but changes those colors. It doesn't just like change it to the same, the barrels this color and this. It keeps the same like pattern as the Future War Cult stuff, but changes the color, so you can make some really cool looking stuff. So I really like the number right now. Kinetic, whatever's around. I don't really care.
What do you use like in PvP when you play like Trials or something?
Mida.
That's fair.
As far as, and then for power, I really like that shock and off fusion rifle. That's a lot of fun. It's a good one. I still don't have the one Lego's been fawning over. But the most fun weapon in PvE, well, tractor cannon's up there, but Wardcliffe coil is so much fun. To use. That thing's so cool.
I was going to say that's the one thing about my loadout that I changed recently for PvE, because people started saying, like, if you're having trouble doing the heroic public events by yourself, try using Wardcliffe's coil, because, like, you can one-shot if you... Like, I couldn't do it from far away, but the most annoying event, the one where it's the Cabal one that comes down as a shield around it and you have to blow out the vents, you can one-shot the vents with the coil. If you jump up really close to it and fire it, then it, like, completely destroys the vent in one shot.
Disclaimer, don't jump too close.
Don't jump too close, yes, because I did that too. Don't do that.
I didn't know that.
But it freaking does so much damage, and so it's really awesome. So that's when I'm playing PvE, I try to run that or a linear fusion rifle, because they do a ton of damage for some reason. So that's really fun for far away enemies and stuff like that. But when I'm playing PvE, I have my primary Scathe Lock I love using, and it looks so good with the Raid shader on it. It's like completely gold and black. It looks so cool. And then for energy, if I'm using that, I can't remember. It depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm doing the Raid, I was even running like sidearm or double auto rifle sometime, or the one that you get for pre-ordering, the Cold Heart, is so good for the raid, for especially the in boss. But for PvP, I've got like my go-to set now. I've got my origin story, just like Doom. Like I love that gun, especially because it's the only auto rifle of that archetype that
is it slow?
It's the same. It's Uriel's Gift archetype, but it fits in your kinetic slot, and it's the only auto rifle to do that. And so that allows me to run the Mananin, or whatever it's called, the Amalon Scout that has the Amalon Scout that has explosive rounds for your energy slot. It feels so good in PvP. So I can't use Mida for whatever reason. I can't make them wear the hat right. Like it's always like
Lego your mic.
God, gosh dang. Okay, y'all keep going. I'll fix this real quick, and then I'll go on a tangent again.
Well, that actually, I just started using the number. Like I literally just got that today. My usual setup, because I don't like running 2 auto rifles, but if I'm not using the number, I do really like Scathe Lock in the kinetic slot. And I know it's that numbered one. Is that 7.65, the scout rifle?
Yeah, the scout rifle. It's the Amalon scout rifle.
The full auto fast firing, fairly fast firing. I really like that one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my go-to PvE for the most part. So you kind of got the scout for the distance and auto rifles for up close / almost as far as scout rifles at this point.
Yeah.
I still wish I could. Sniping felt better. What are you gonna do? But yeah, Hawthorne's like Triton. You got to get a Hawthorne's. That thing is probably the best PvE shotgun in Destiny 1 and 2.
I mean, it's a random drop, right? Like it's.
I've
not
gotten
like
4 of them.
Yeah,
I get good bone structure all the time. That's like the one.
You do look like you have good bone structure.
Well, thank you, Ho. But that's the one that I constantly get. So I haven't gotten one. A buddy of mine's gotten like 3 or 4. Like we'll literally open up engrams together. He sits right next to me and plays, and he'll get it, and I'll get good bone structure.
Yeah, it has like rifled on it. It already has good range and impact. It's full auto. I mean, it's
fast full auto.
Yeah,
and it wrecks in PvE.
Yeah, you just roll up to like any Lost Sector boss or public event boss, and just I think it holds 7.
Yep.
In the mag, so you just roll up and just fire 7 shots in a span of 2 seconds,
and it's just automatic. It's awesome.
Yep. I always end up with like one or 2 rounds left over because I was like, oh, it's got to be empty, and I let off. It's like, oh no, there's still some in there.
It's weird though. Not that it really affects it with a shotgun, but do you remember? Because they toned it down for the actual game, but that scout rifle, the energy scout rifle in the beta. The full auto one had that really weird,
the weird
bouncy
pulsating fire.
Yeah, instead of like dun dun dun, it was like dun 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 dun. The shotgun kind of does that too.
Oh, weird! I've never noticed that.
It's not, like I said, it's not real pronounced, and also you're shoving it in some guy's belly, so it doesn't really matter much.
I also love the way it sounds.
Yes, it's awesome. Well, what I was saying about the Midas,
do you think Triton has good bone structure? I'd like your opinion.
It's good. Yeah. What I was saying about Mida.
Whatever. Let's move on to my point.
I don't feel like I can make them wear the hat. You know how you're supposed to like put the triangle, and like I just can't do that. Like it has to be like a dot or something. And so that's why that Mananin gun works good for me in the energy slot. And I'm kind of forced to use Origin Story at that point because I like that auto rifle type, but I'm curious to try out Uriel's Gift. I finally got it to drop, so maybe I'll switch my playstyle up now that I have different guns to work with, so we'll see.
I still don't have the Banana Gator. Banana,
yeah, I don't have that either.
Banana. I don't
have
that.
Dude, it's awesome. I can't wait for you to get it. Oh, and speaking of things I just got the fusion rifle that I've been trying to get this entire time. It looks like the Thiessen and has max impact. It's the Arantel FR4, I think. I don't know if that's how you say it. But yeah, it's an FR4. And
I was going to say, wasn't the Thiessen name the Thiessen FR4?
Yes, okay. And so it's practically the same thing, but you have the option to do accelerated coils or not on it, and so you can make it more like a Thiessen or more like the old Dead Orbit fusion rifle charge time, which is awesome as well. And I was like, it's difficult to get used to, but the few games I played with it, I freaking mapped some people. Like, it was crazy. So I'm really excited about it.
It's kind of funny, though, because weren't you kind of mad about the armor looking like reskins, but now you're all happy that that's like a reskin?
I I was
Called out.
unhappy with the reskins from like current game. Like with it, these are armor sets within Destiny.
Oh, but
2
you're okay that they brought it from the old game.
Yes, because it's like nostalgia, you know. But we literally just
The
got
game just started. There's no
It's-
such thing as nostalgia yet.
Okay, but here's the thing about reskins from the original game. It's the same world. Like they're not just going to go and reinvent everything.
They should.
You know, and I mean, and I, you know, here's my theory about the whole reskins. Because yeah, you know, I like stuff that looks different, but part of me thinks that they're doing it just to save like memory space and everything. Like it probably takes less time, it takes less space in the game, just to you know. And with the way the shaders are working now, like what you were saying with the different, like with the future war cult,
patterns and stuff.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you can do a ton of stuff with the shaders now. I don't mind it so much, you know, as long as they behave differently. It doesn't bother me, and if it's saving them space, I think it seems to me, and I have no idea about this. You know, this is just a guess. It seems like they did a lot of things to save them some memory, so they have room to do other things. Because I mean, from what I heard, Destiny 1 was stretched as thin as it could go.
Yeah,
and with their processing power, I don't know, computers, but
computers.
Yeah, it seems like they've done a lot of stuff, you know, to maybe try to save space, like the randomness of the guns and the, you know, not as elaborate, you know, skill trees and all that stuff. Like that's probably saving them space. And, you know, I mean, reskins kind of makes sense in that world, I think. I mean, yeah, I would like to have more new, different looking stuff for sure, but
yeah. And I want to reiterate too that, or not reiterate, but restate my opinion from last week, because last week I was upset after seeing the gear. I was like, that's exactly the planetary gear, you know, you get, and I was kind of like, that's kind of a bummer, you know, but we'll see. I'm excited to get the shaders, you know. And now that I'm playing it and I have some of the armor and some of the guns, and you're talking about the patterns and stuff, I take back what I said, because it is very different. If you take some of that armor, like I got the new Monarchy one that looks the same as some of the planetary stuff, but they've added little things to the pattern, and to like the helmet has like the mohawk thing on it and all that stuff. And it's like,
get that helmet.
Oh man, it's so cool.
Everything but that, like, because that armor set, just the planetary version, I probably wouldn't wear that, you know. I mean, it's because I had a whole other set, you know, set up, but that armor is my new favorite armor. I'm like, just add all the new Monarchy stuff to it, and I mean, and put the shader on it. It's like, don't the shader system and all that stuff is probably one of my favorite things from Destiny. But yeah, I can't get that helmet. Like, that's all I was doing with the little bit of time that I allowed myself to play. That's all I was trying to do is get that freaking helmet, because I want that horsehair freaking mohawk thing. You know,
it's really cool. That's how I was with the Mark. I couldn't get, because I thought the Mark looked really different than a lot of the other Titan Marks, and so I was like, oh, come on. And I finally got it today. I finished the set, and it's like, oh man, I'm so glad that now, and I'm realizing how different it all is what I was trying to say. Is it's like everything's so, like, it isn't just a reskin. There's patterns that are different. And this is something that Hove was talking about a little bit, I think. When you put a new shader on some of these items, different patterns will show up that weren't there previously, especially if you're inspecting the armor stuff. Like I was looking at some of the arms and putting the new Monarchy shader on it, and it put a different pattern on it. And it's just so interesting. If you really look at the detail, there's just a lot there for you to completely customize your character in ways you could never do in D1, which is really cool.
Yeah, some of the shaders have built-in patterns. You can see them like in the little diamond triangle thing.
Yeah.
And my comment about the reskins wasn't a response to anything that you said. It was from what I've been seeing on Twitter, like people just raging on, you know, the internet, and it's like, come on, man.
Oh, don't lie. Yeah. People don't rage on the internet.
Not at all.
Well, let's jump into, you know, the faction rally that's going on right now. That was pretty much what most of the TWAB was about. There's a little bit of other stuff going on there, but for the most part, you know, how do y'all feel like the faction rally's going? Hove, you said you were really excited to talk about the guns, but I think you talked about the main one you were excited about. How do y'all feel about the faction rally so far?
I think the biggest thing I took away from the TWAB was that it would happen periodically. So I think last week when we speculated about it, and I think we mentioned that in the same breath as Iron Banner, like this is one of those things that can get people to come back to the game at least during that time farther into the future. So for right now, I think it's really cool. I think it's something to do. I think it's another incentive to play. It doesn't seem to be super grindy for someone who can't play for probably more than an hour or two every day, if not, probably less, honestly, in my position right now. So I enjoy it. And if it's like a bi-monthly thing or something like that, I would definitely come back. And hopefully they scramble it a little bit more. Hopefully, they change some of the aspects to it. Like you mentioned, Lego, like I think doing more things together would be kind of the point of the faction rally. What if it was like, all wear the banner and play PvP with or something like that? Like, some other way to integrate, I think would be really cool. So I've enjoyed it pretty thoroughly so far. And hopefully, they keep it around.
Well, can we talk about that periodically, quickly?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, to me, I'd hope and I would think that it would be monthly. I know they said periodically, but we know Bungie doesn't like to commit to things.
Right.
But I don't know, less than once a month seems not enough. Or, I mean, yeah, less than monthly just seems like this isn't that big of an event that it should be like every 3 months or I feel like once a month is about right, like Iron Banner, and that fills your space.
Unless they have other activities that we don't know about yet that are going to go in there. Because, before, like in D1, they had like the Queen's something, that we had. And it was like, it was there and then it was gone and then they changed it and it came back. Like maybe they'll do something with
it. It never came back, right? That was so bad.
It came back as like Queen's Bounties, basically, is what it came back as. But yeah, it never came back the same way. So but I'm with you. I feel like it should be every month, especially if there's other weapons. This is slightly rumorish, not really factual yet, but in the database that Destiny Tracker, I think, has up, there are weapons that aren't in the weapons you can get right now. Like there's a fusion rifle from Future War Cult that looks like the old the Vacancy fusion rifle and stuff like that. So there might be weapons that are swapping out, and I don't know if they're going to hold that till a later time, but I'd love to see it every month.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would hope, is that if they do it once a month or whatever, I would hope all, different weapons, different things that you can get. I would kind of hope that the rewards that because if it's just the same armor and weapons that you can get from turning in, from getting the reputation stuff, I know it's probably not realistic, but that's the thing. Even if it's just a reskin, like a new Monarchy or Future War Cult version of a different armor set, that would be cool.
That's interesting.
I just don't want it to be the same armor and the same weapons that we have now every time, because then it's like, well,
yeah.
Then I don't have to do it, and I just got to wait and see who wins, because there's people that are going to play it. Like, I want a reason to grind for that stuff.
For sure.
And because there's not random rolls anymore, it's all just the same. Once I have one set, well, that's all I need,
Yeah.
And so hopefully that stuff kind of changes. There's no reason to think that it will, but they would be cool if there was different rewards for grinding,
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. The one thing that kind of dawned on me, though, especially talking about the fact that there's no more, random weapon rolls. There we go. Say that 5 times fast. I mean, in all reality, it tones down the amount of things you can go get, right? Because you get the gun once, it's the same every time. So, I mean, really, if it's less than once a week or once a month, think about that, because we used to have a full set of, maybe not a full set, but you used to be able to go to these factions anytime you want as a vendor and buy weapons, buy armor, and that's gone. So that's less weapons and armor we already have available. And now, even when you're going to bring them back, you're going to only bring them back every few months. That just seems like you're really cutting down on the things you can get.
And something else that's interesting, Marcus, Mr. Tom Fuller, he just pointed out in chat, we haven't seen any sparrows or ships for these factions yet either, and maybe that's something we could see in the future. That would be exciting.
Yeah, please do that, because those were like among the things that I think people wanted the most. At least
for
the
sure.
ships.
The Dead Orbit ship before was like, oh, come on.
That's definitely something thought after. I'm with Hove. I think it has to be monthly. And, Lego, you mentioned that maybe they do other events. Wouldn't it be cool if they kind of like combine something? Like, we have a lot of of events that they've done in the past, like seasonal things, like right around the corner. Like they've done Festival of the Lost, so like we're entering that time period where they probably will do something like that if they integrated that with factions to keep that monthly, while maybe not wanting to do Iron Banner that plus a faction thing. Maybe combine them or something like that. That would be neat to have like a Festival of the Lost exclusive faction thing. I think that'd be cool.
Or even, we kind of I don't remember who mentioned it, but when we first talked about this, they mentioned maybe having PvP that was like New Monarchy versus Future War Cult or whatever. What if they did like an Iron Banner faction rally? Where,
that would be
they
cool.
faced off, like the factions, this week are meeting in
I would
Iron
love
Banner
that.
to
Who could get the most wins? Yeah, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
One other thing about the TWAB that they mentioned, and they had hinted at it before, but it was specifically stated here, is there's like a winner's week, basically, that's going to happen after this week, and during that time is when you can buy the gun, basically, for less or more, depending on if your faction won or not. But I'm just curious, are they going to like decorate the tower all in like whoever won or something like that? I think
that
it's
would be
probably
cool. I think they will. That seems
Yeah.
pretty easy and something they've done before. That'd be cool.
Exactly. And so if that's the case, I'm curious if there's going to be any quests or any like extra little thing that comes along with that you can do, because they're making it a winner. Like it's going to be a week of this. And so what else is going to be there other than just buying a gun? I feel like there's got to be something else to go along with it. I guess we'll see. It could just be aesthetics, but either way, it sounds cool for me.
That's the thing. Like they could add so many things. There's so many ways to do different aesthetics and cosmetics in this game that would keep people playing and chasing those things that they just don't seem. I mean, it's early. There's going to be more things coming. We know that. But like we said, faction ships, faction sparrows, then there's all the Iron Banner stuff, like shaders. Like there's so many things out there that they could just very easily make more shaders, make, skins, whatever, that people would chase. And it seems like an easy expansion of content.
All that being said, though, I want to ask you guys, Doom and Hove and Triton, what so like I feel that way too, but at the same time I feel like I still have stuff to grind for. Like I still have shaders I want, I still have certain weapons that I haven't got, like that's very specific ones, but there's stuff that I'm still looking for. Do y'all feel like something is lacking right now for y'all, or do you feel like you're still in the grind and there's still plenty of things to do? Because I feel like there's still plenty of things for me to do.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm kind of, there's for sure still stuff that I want to do. Like the shaders for sure. Like I like how the shaders are working, where it's not just, I got the shader, now I have it forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
It's, I kind of want to build up a stock of this because I want to throw, I like this one thing and I want to throw it on everything I get. And if I get new stuff, I want to have some of those just kind of there. And, and kind of figuring out where they're coming from and how to get them. Because, I think one of the ones that I really like only comes from, Eververse. But I ain't spending money on silver to try to buy it, But, like that. I mean, I don't know. The thing, I just don't know how much stuff there is there. Like how many weapons. Like if I haven't. There's a bunch of exotics that I just don't have. There's there's for sure stuff. I mean, because I keep getting duplicate exotics. Like if I get one more.
I haven't had that happen yet.
I got the Stompy Hunter legs like 4 times now.
Really?
2 Lucky Pants.
I can't get those.
That's all.
If I get one more Graviton Lance.
I got one from the quest.
I've gotten like 8 of them, and it's just, come on, man. Like it's happening with a lot of stuff. So there's a ton of exotics that I don't have. And I mean, I'm not playing a ton. I haven't done the raid. I think I've done 2 Nightfalls, so it's not the game's fault that I'm not doing this stuff. It's just that, that's what I have available to play right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's for sure still stuff. And besides the fact, I was playing Destiny 1 forever, even when I had everything. Like it's just straight up fun, so. And these little extra things like the fact, just point me in a direction and just tell me where to go to shoot things, and I'll go to shoot things. Just give me a reason to go there, and I'll go there.
That almost becomes like a problem for me. Not like a problem like I'm mad at the game, like a problem like an addiction. Because like that's one of the things. I'm like a small child, If something's bright or shiny or loud, I'm all about it. So like, I'll go to Earth and I'm like, oh, I need to go do, lost sectors. And then even though there's a lost sector right there next to me, the other side of the map, I see there's a public event going on in 30 seconds. So I go all the way over there. And when that one's done, I'm like, oh, well, there's this over here. Let me go do this. And it takes me an hour and a half to actually get to what I want to do. But I think that's a good thing because, I think let's be realistic. A game like this where people chew through it, they're never going to be able to make new content that people for months are going to be finding new stuff, like new missions, new this and that. It's just not possible. They'd have to work on it for 10 years and release a game. But they give you a reason. I like the flashpoints and now the faction rallies. Even though you're doing the same lost sectors maybe again, or you're doing the public events, it's giving you a reason to do them. You get different things from them every week. It's something different. Even though it's things you've done, it's a reason to do it. And I think that's about the most we could ask for. I'm really enjoying it, to be honest. And like I said, before this week, I had kind of started to be like, well, what do I do? And then I got back into it, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, the one thing. Go ahead, Wes.
Oh, the one thing that Bungie makes, besides a rock solid shooter, is a pretty solid 30-second gameplay loop. Like where it just keeps you like, oh, I'm doing this. Oh, now I'm over here doing this. Oh, I'm doing that, and all of a sudden you've been playing for 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps you engaged. I mean, there's scientific research done on this. How to kind of keep people engaged and keep them wanting to do things. Like that is one thing they have down. And I mean, all of the little things in there now, the lost sectors, public events, the flashpoints, the cage chests, all the little things.
I keep forgetting about those.
Yeah. The things, the little treasure maps where you can go around and collect all the, planetary stuff or whatever, all that stuff is just, just kind of keep you going just a little bit more. Oh, I'm super close to getting a bright engram. Oh man, I'm super close to, ranking up this reputation here. Like, and it just kind of keeps you engaged. And they do that real well. It bothers me that I'm so easily manipulated.
So am I.
But I mean, and I'm very well aware of it, but I can't do anything to stop it. It's like, quit controlling my brain, Bungie, because I have things to do. And
they've done such a good job, like you were saying, with the quick stuff. It's like they put so many things everywhere. Like, for instance, you start the week, maybe you just play whatever, but your first 3 levels, and you get bright engrams now, are increased XP, so you get them faster. So that's more stuff that people are going to get as they're doing things. So then as you're doing things, you're like, oh, I need to do my crucible, I need to do this, this, and this, whatever. So you go in, not only do you have milestones on your director, but then on every planet, you also have your little, on the right side, challenges. And those are daily. So it's like every day you go in there. Even though, like I said, you're going to run the same however many missions are in the game. They can't constantly make new missions every week. But, they're always putting things there for you. Hey, go do this today. You need to do this. You need to do this week. Yeah. You're going to get this. And as you're doing those, they're smart with that whole first 3 levels a week or faster, because then you also feel like right off the bat, oh, look, I got this bright engram. Oh, I'm getting these drops. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do this.
Oh, and that's where I was kind of going with my point is and to the people that have kind of chewed through everything, I mean, there is something for everybody. I mean, if you find genuine enjoyment in doing a specific activity in this game, that will reward you that week with most likely a powerful engram that doesn't come at like a super grindy rate. So if you really only enjoy PvP, you just have to play 6 to 8 matches. You're going to get a powerful engram from Saladin and then Urshax, and then you can go and play Trials of the Nine on the weekend. Like that is available for you. And if that's what you really want to do, if you don't play with a lot of people, public events, flashpoints, like people will be there. You don't have to worry about playing with people. That's 6 of those, maybe 4 if you don't turn them heroic. I think it's only 4 if you could turn them heroic. I mean, that's there. There really is something for everybody with a more rewarding engram than probably what you're at, depending, unless you're already at the highest of levels. But even then, you're getting something that drops at least in an equivalent. I really think there's constantly stuff to do. And if you enjoy everything, you don't get, in my opinion, you don't get done in a week if you don't play a ton. Like I can't get it done all on 2 characters, and I like that. I like to know that if I were to play more, then I could have done more.
Yeah.
But I don't have to play a ton to at least get what I feel like to be enough.
But the nice thing, like, when you're gonna get, like people complain that, maybe you get all these engrams, but they're not really helpful for your light or power or whatever it is now when you're higher up. I mean, should they be? Should every single thing you get help you, like, go above to the max? You'd get there in no time, but they lay it out for you. Hey, this, and this give you a powerful engram, which is going to be, slightly above your light, depending on, if you're 302, then it's not. But, you know what you're getting into. Hey, I can go run all this stuff and just get legendaries to get shards or gunsmith parts or maybe weapons you don't have. But hey, you know what? I do need to raise my light. Let me do this call to arms. Let me do this clan XP. Let me do this flashpoint. You know what to do to get these things.
Right. Having that transparency, I think, is important for you to map out your week or your day. I agree.
You even have to grind for Glimmer now because some of that stuff is so expensive.
I'll tell you what, their trials,
though,
so
man. Much.
Trials is the place for Glimmer.
Yeah. I haven't even attempted that yet. I don't even know if I can get into trials.
Oh, no, you can.
I'm just saying, I don't know about everybody else, but this is one of my weekends. I'm off Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so.
I tell you, the thing that keeps me going is, like right now, the thing I'm really trying to, or one of the things I'm really trying to get that I forgot to talk about earlier was those bright engrams, because I want those exotic ships, sparrows, and emotes. Yeah. I don't know how many there are, but I want them all. I have a couple of the ships, a couple of the sparrows, and a couple of the emotes. I know there's more. I like that I don't know how many there is. But
I like that.
Yeah,
I'm totally with you. Well, there is one last thing before we start coming to the close of the podcast. On the TWAB, they did bring out some Crucible guys talking about, like, hey, we're watching the Crucible. We're watching what everybody's using. They talked about Mida, of course. That's been a big source of contention on in the community, just everybody using Mida, particularly in trials. But he basically said, Bungie basically said, that there are other guns that are performing better than Mida. And, like, have you found those? Like, what are those ones? And that's, kind of how I feel personally. For me, Mida wasn't performing good for me. And so that's why I switched and started using something else. But, and then he also said the second thing about that was really interesting is that they have a handful of guns that are not even in the game yet. And that's exciting for me, just not like coming in a DLC, just like these faction weapons came. I'm sure we're going to get Iron Banner weapons, and I'm sure there's going to be other stuff as well. And so that's exciting just to be reminded, like, hey, there's still more stuff coming. And it's cool to hear the breakdown of how Mida's actually doing in the Crucible. Right. Hey, this isn't an automatic win,
And they're looking at it, not completely overreacting. And I think accessibility via the quest plus familiarity, having been in Destiny 1, probably drives up that popularity with the way that the Trials map was laid out. So I'm very glad for the first sandbox tuning they're due. They've already said, look, we're not overreacting. I think that's what's important there.
We've only had Trials on one map for 2 weeks in a row, so we'll see what this weekend's like. So. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I just thought those comments were great and exciting about the new guns. Did y'all have anything else about any news that y'all wanted to talk about or anything?
I want to know what the lens of Fate emblem looks like. It's the new movie of the week one.
Oh, me too, because they mentioned it, but we didn't really get to see it. So
and the banner still showed the, like, blue and yellow. It looked like the sign of containment, so it didn't seem to be any different.
Yeah, but it was funny because he said, didn't he say in the article, is like, as you'll notice, it looks different, but it didn't look any different. And I was like, wait. What?
Oh, I didn't know he said that the banner looked different. I knew they said the emblem was going to look different.
Okay, maybe he just meant the emblem. Yeah, so I'm curious, like, please let it spin. Please let it spin. That would be awesome. Because we're coming for you. We're coming for it. But yeah, that's all I got. Y'all have anything else? All right. Well, thanks so much, Doom, for coming on. We really, really appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Lego, aka Lego Le Flash. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube at Lego LE Flash. Ho, where can they find you, man?
All the same places. Doing a little streaming on twitch.tv/Hove76, on Twitter @Hove76, and pretending that I have a YouTube.
Triton.
Well, I am attempting to resurrect my YouTube via a REZOcast behind the scenes video.
I'm
That's
afraid
probably the
now.
only thing that I could think of. So you could find me right there on YouTube. I'm trying to get back my stream schedule. And then also I'm pretty active on Twitter, all under Triton Please, the please being PLZ at the end. And how about you, Doom?
I think the only place that I can be found anymore is on Twitter. That's at BlessedDoom _. Yeah, come on and shoot me a message. We'll talk about some jiu-jitsu or something.
Ooh, yeah. We should have got into those Twitter questions.
Come on, Rex.
Oh, well, this has been REZOcast episode 53. Oh, yeah. We also got, you can find Team Resolute and REZOcast. You can find REZOcast on Twitter, and we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to hear if you enjoyed the episode, leaving a review on iTunes. We super, super appreciate that every single time. We know it's a pain to get over there, but we appreciate it. And Team Resolute, you can find them at Team Resolute and teamresolute.com. So we appreciate you checking us out, checking out the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for hanging out in chat. And until next time, guys, GG.
GG.